Hey guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Carissa and I love to talk about movies. So I just got back from seeing The Northman and it was a lot better than I thought it would be. Not that I thought that it would be bad necessarily, but still, I've got to say I didn't really think I would enjoy it as much as I ended up enjoying it. Honestly, I think this is one of the best movies I've seen of the year so far. So anyway, this is a really big week in cinema for Scandinavians between 4 and this, and I'm really happy about that because I've always been really interested in Scandinavian mythology. So anyway, if you've seen True Blood, you'll remember that Alexander Skarsgard also played a Viking prince in True Blood as well, so he definitely fit the role very well. So his brother, Bill Skarsgard, was meant to be in this as well, but due to COVID and scheduling, unfortunately he couldn't be in the movie, but that would have been amazing to see the two brothers in the movie together, but oh well. Anyway, so basically this is about a Scandinavian prince who has his father killed in front of him. So he sets out on a quest for revenge and to also rescue his mother who's been kidnapped. So it's a tale as old as time. We've seen it done so many times before, but this definitely brought something new to the big screen, and yeah, I really enjoyed it. So in this movie, director Robert Eggers and Anya-Taylor team up again for the first time since The Witch, and Anya was in The Witch as one of her, I think her first big role. She only had a few small roles before that. And then after The Witch, she was in this movie called Viking Quest. Maybe that's how Eggers got the idea to put her in a Viking movie. I don't know. But anyway, so she does a really good job in this, but we'll get into that a bit more after. But let's talk about how Robert Eggers did such an amazing job in this movie on being just historically accurate. He put such a huge emphasis on being historically accurate in all of his movies and goes to such great lengths to really make sure he's doing it properly. Like, he hired the world's foremost Viking specialists, and I didn't even know being a Viking specialist was a job that you could do, but that sounds really cool. Anyway, so this Scandinavian legend that the movie is based on, apparently it actually inspired Shakespeare to write Hamlet as well. So Anya-Taylor has been in so many historical movies and she really suits it well. I loved her in Last Night in Soho. If you haven't seen that, I highly recommend that you go check it out. So in this movie, I don't want to go too far into her character because I feel like that would be giving away spoilers, but basically her romance with Amleth, Alexander Skarsgard's character, I found it a little bit hard to believe because of the way that they meet. Let's just say it like that. Like, if you know what Vikings are into, you probably know what I'm talking about, but anyway, I just feel like it was a little bit of a stretch because he never really seemed to be that caring or remorseful to her about considering what happened earlier on in the movie. Anyway, maybe I'm looking too much into it, but I guess you have to assume that a lot of stuff happens off screen and that they don't really show too much of them getting to know each other and building a connection. And I feel like we as the audience, if we had seen a little bit more of that connection between them being built, the ending would have been a lot more climactic. And it just would have been a lot easier to believe in general. So anyway, Bjork, I don't know if I'm saying that properly, was in it as a seer. Just like Willem Dafoe was in it as the jester. He was like a court jester. And they were each in it for probably like 1 minute each, like a tiny scene. Yet the promotional material had their names plastered all over it, so you thought they were going to be a big part of the movie. So I know movies do that all the time. It sort of feels like they tease us with this actor we really like and then they're barely in it at all. Anyway, so the Valkyrie scene sort of reminded me of like Thor Ragnarok, another amazing movie. But I wish they had put more of the Valkyrie in here because they only had like two tiny scenes, and I don't really know why she's wearing braces, because I know the Vikings were advanced, but I don't think that they were that advanced that they had braces back then. Nicole Kidman was really good as Amleth's mother, the queen. So her character has this big twist towards the end of the movie, but I won't give the twist away because it's a pretty big spoiler, and it was really clever, I thought. So Alexander Skarsgard, he was made for this role. He was so good in this role. He was just this absolutely terrifying giant Viking. Like, I would absolutely hate to face him on the battlefield. He's just really scary as a Viking, you know. He's just really tall and big, and yeah, he just really stepped into this role fully. So it was 2.5 hours, and it didn't really feel like it dragged. It felt like an appropriate amount of time. The cinematography was amazing, but it was filmed all in grey. I don't know what the fancy film terminology is, but you know, that grey sort of colour scheme, which obviously suited the movie. And the score was amazing as well. It really built up the impact of the scenes, and yeah, I really feel like it was all just very top notch. And I like that they didn't downplay the brutality of the Vikings, because they were, you know, raping, pillaging, plundering like pirates, you know. They didn't downplay any of that. So just a warning for sensitive viewers. Like, you see animals getting decapitated and all of that sort of stuff. You know, I feel like it was interesting that they made him Amleth. He wasn't necessarily a good man because he's, like I said, involved in all of that plundering, you know, and everything. So he was our protagonist, but he wasn't necessarily good, but still he was interesting, and sometimes that's all we need in a protagonist, is them to be interesting. So he definitely did that well. So anyway, this was described by somebody as being a Viking 300 movie. And yes, that definitely fits the movie perfectly. It is Viking meets 300. So if you've seen that movie Troy, you know what I mean when I say, okay, this is a really mild spoiler, I think. It doesn't really give anything major away, or maybe it does. I don't know. So watch with caution. So basically in Troy we have Achilles. He's this guy like Amleth. He is an amazing warrior, and he chooses war over love. A lot of the themes of the movie were, is he going to choose one path or another path? And he ends up going down the path that you sort of wish that he wouldn't, where he chooses war and violence. And yeah, so my complaints, I only had a few mild complaints. Subtitles. There was a lot of Scandinavian language or some type of language being spoken where it really was frustrating because it wasn't just a few words being spoken. It was quite a lot. So they needed subtitles there. And also, because it's like in, you know, Lord of the Rings, when they get to the Elven Kingdom and then they're speaking Elvish for like quite a long time and they never had subtitles. That still annoys me to this day. Anyway, I felt like it was hard to understand what they were saying sometimes. Even when they were speaking English, they weren't very clear. And I feel like the spells, the mythology, witchcraft, I don't know what you call it, the Norse mythology, it was cool to see, but it got a little bit repetitive at a certain point. So we have this message for Amleth, little Amleth. He's just seen his father killed and he starts to cry, and they're like, don't cry. And it feels like, I get it, it's obviously it's a like 300 is a very tough Viking movie, but still I feel like Come on, he's just a little kid, let him cry. Crying doesn't mean that he's weak. So anyway, I thought this was a great movie. I highly recommend you go see it. So I would give it an 8 out of 10. So let me know what you thought in the comments below. Comment, subscribe, all of that stuff. Thanks, guys.